So you're probably wondering what a typical day in the life is for this homeschooling family. I can't speak to other people's experiences, but for this family, I think the most important thing for me at this age range is to have as much flexibility as possible. I really value the ability to be flexible and kind of go with the flow when things are working in a positive direction. A common perception of homeschooling is that it's a free-for-all with no structure. One of the important things that Brian and I decided before we even started homeschooling was that every day, everyone, including myself, has to get up after breakfast, brushing teeth, etc. You have to get dressed for the day. We don't sit around in our PJs. I wash my face, put on my makeup. The kids have to dress themselves as if they were leaving the house, even if we don't. After that, we typically sit down at the kitchen table, and depending on what kind of mood everybody is in, I may have both kids working on different subjects at the table at the same time and kind of bounce back and forth. If I feel like one child woke up on the wrong side of the bed and needs a little more individual attention, it's not uncommon for me to give one of the kids a pass and just say, go play with your sister for a while. They go off with the 3-year-old, they might go play with toys. Yes, they even might go play video games for a little bit. And I sit down with the other child and give them the one-on-one time that they need in that moment and work through their subjects individually. That is the kind of flexibility that I think is absolutely invaluable with homeschooling. You can tailor your days depending on the individual moods of the kids and what everyone's needs are. Another thing that a lot of people think they need to do when they begin homeschooling is recreate the 6.5-hour school day. In reality, at this age, 8 and 6 years old, I probably do about 2 to 3 hours a day with my kids. And that's combined with both of them together. You'll find that when you start working with your kids as an individual, things go a lot faster than if you are trying to teach 30 kids at one time. When you have 30 kids in front of you and you're trying to teach them a concept, everyone is learning at a different rate. You have to repeat certain things, you have to slow down maybe. But when you're working with your child as an individual, if they understand the concept, keep going. I do not beat things to death. I make sure that they understand and master the concept and move on. One way I keep track of what the kids are learning is I do keep individual calendars for each of them. Every week I print off one of these blank worksheets and I fill in the concepts and chapters and different things that the kids are working on. That way I can look back on it if I'm unsure what we've covered, but also if for some reason I needed to prove myself at some later date, I've got documentation of what I've actually done with the kids. As you can see for Oscar, in this particular week back in March, we had a pretty successful week. We did school 4 days out of the week. We did most of our subjects. On this particular week, we didn't do much on Wednesday, except for the fact that he went to piano lesson. So good school week. But it's not uncommon. Every once in a while, a school week looks like this. We had a pretty okay start on Monday, couple subjects on Tuesday, and then I don't remember exactly what happened on this week, but it could have been that family came to town, or maybe we just had some sort of big family project going on and we kind of fluffed off for the rest of the week. I do not feel guilty.
Did you just say fluffed off?
I fluffed off. I do not feel guilty taking a couple of days off, even if it is on a regular basis, because also I am the dun-dun-dun evil mother who makes my kids do school year-round. It's an established fact that taking 3 months off of school is detrimental to kids' learning. What we do is a lighter schedule, but we never stop learning. We're aiming for process, not product. We want our kids to learn to love learning. The number one concern everyone has when we mention homeschooling is, what are you going to do when your child turns out to be a sociopathic freak? All it takes is a basic Google search, and you can see that there are tons of people who have not only been homeschooled, but gone on to be pretty successful. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, the first female Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, Venus and Serena Williams, military leaders like George Patton, Douglas MacArthur, and at least 10 presidents. And just to finish off the idea of socialization, it's become a huge myth that schools corner the market on socialization for young kids. Your kids are probably in sports, extracurricular activities. They go to different places like the library or stores with you. All of those are opportunities to socialize with people of different backgrounds and cultures. A common question I get is, what are you going to do when your kids hit a subject that you don't know? At some point, your kids' math homework is going to go above and beyond what your own personal knowledge is, and that's totally fine. There are tons of not only online programs, but you can get yourself a math tutor. You can find someone as they get older and get into more complicated subjects. You can find a mentor for them that would be happy to guide them through some of those subjects. One of the beautiful things about the Trivium is when you've given your child the tools for learning and how to learn, they should be able to start guiding their own education when they hit the high school level or the rhetoric stage. This is the part I'm most excited about. This is where I get to show you some of the books that we use and the different curricula that we've chosen to use with the kids. I've already told you about The Well-Trained Mind. This is my book. I mentioned that we have a history-centric curriculum, and we use The Story of the World, History for the Classical Child. There are 4 volumes to this because there are 4 years in each cycle of the Trivium. We've already gone through the ancients, and now we are currently working on the Middle Ages. This book also comes with a companion teaching guide that gives you all of the questions that you should ask the kids after each chapter. It gives you worksheets, everything from coloring pages to things that they can build and projects they can do with you. One of the funniest and most well-known projects that you can do with the kids is in the very first book, when you're covering ancient Egypt. It actually gives you a recipe for learning how to mummify a chicken breast. You can use that to demonstrate mummification techniques of the ancient Egyptians with your kids. I personally chose not to do that, and I defy anyone to show me their final product that actually pulled that one off. Brian had a really fun time mocking me when I told him that I was going to start teaching the kids Latin. It does sound a bit audacious, but learning Latin is a great way to learn the fundamentals of our language. I had absolutely no idea that something like 85 to 95% of the English language is rooted in Latin. We haven't actually started using this book yet. It just came in the mail a few days ago, but I have been playing the CD that was included in the kitchen, and the kids are already singing about saying hello and goodbye to their teacher in Latin and learning the Latin alphabet. These books are fantastic for teaching handwriting to your littlest kids. This is from a company called Learning Without Tears. This particular series is called Handwriting Without Tears, and it starts in kindergarten and works all the way up through cursive. Both my kids have been using these books for 2 years now, and actually I learned about them in public school when Sagan was using them in her kindergarten class. These books are fantastic, and I recommend them for parents even if your kids are in public school and you just want a little extra help at home. First Language Lessons for the Well-Trained Mind is our grammar book. It is a fantastic book for people like me who thought, I don't know how to teach grammar. It is idiot-proof, and literally each lesson has a script that you can read from. It says, instructor, say this. Student will answer with possibly this answer. Instructor, say this. So you can go bit by bit, not feel intimidated. One of the silliest show-off things from these books is that it requires the kids to memorize poetry. Every couple of lessons, it'll throw in a poem, and you have to work through it with your kids over several weeks until they master it. At first, I'll be honest, I thought that was insane. I thought there was absolutely no way that my kids are going to memorize poetry. And now I think they each know roughly 6 to 8 poems off the top of their heads.
Round and furry, cowpoo and hurry. Take your walk, crochet, reef, stop. May no toad spy you, may the little birds pass by you. Spin and die to live again, a butterfly. The goops, they lick their fingers, and the goops, they lick their knives. They spill their broth on the tablecloth, oh, they lead disgusting lives. The goops, they talk while eating, and loud and fast they chew. That is why I'm glad that I am not a goop. Are you?
And that's just so awesome to see as a parent. Choosing a math curriculum was a huge struggle for me. I feel like math is extremely important and was something that I didn't want to blow. So I actually didn't even choose a curriculum until probably mid to late October. I settled on Singapore math, and it is actually developed by the Singaporean Ministry of Education, and these are the books that the kids use in Singaporean classrooms. The reason why I chose Singapore math is because when you look at any of the international rankings for math by different countries, Singapore is at the very top. They're usually somewhere around number 1 or 2. I think they have a really great strategy and approach to teaching kids the different math concepts. Every idea builds on the previous one, and my kids have just been flying through these books. They're really doing great with these. Big recommendation. I'm here to tell you that what you've been having to do is not how homeschooling usually goes. I have no idea how anyone is handling this current climate of Zoom schooling and working their way through packets of worksheets. That's not how we homeschool. When you make the active decision to homeschool, you choose which books you want to use. You choose what your schedule is, at what pace you need to move with your kids. The decisions are actually yours. So this has been some of my takeaways from my short 8-month homeschooling journey so far. Every day I'm excited to see how my kids continue to develop. My favorite part is getting to be there for those aha moments when a new concept clicks in their brain and getting to see the joy and excitement in their eyes, realizing that they've now learned something new. So that's it. If you find any of this interesting, have any questions, want to know more about the different books that we use, please feel free to reach out to me. I love talking about homeschooling, and my husband could definitely use a break from hearing all of my ramblings about the different things we're learning in school today. So I'm Allison. Feel free to reach out to me at this email address, and I will be happy to tell you everything that I've learned about homeschooling.
And I'm the husband. I live here too.